Tarkov is the train that it has gone off the rails, off of the the bridge with like the hole in the bridge into the canyon, into a lava pit, onto an asteroid about to hit Earth, into a black hole, you know, like, and then oh
yeah,
dude.
I do know. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the podcast, the show dedicated to talking about all the popular things in life, like music, content creation, and video games. I'm one of your co-hosts, Jesse Kazam, and I enjoy carbonated water. All right.
Is this like a carbonated water anonymous?
No.
Hi, my name's Jesse Kazam,
Proud
and
of
for
it.
6 months, I've been drinking carbonated water.
6 months.
That takes such strength. This is the first step. The first step
No.
to throwing out your weird
It's
sour
not a
water.
problem. It's the solution.
I'm talking about sour water, and I'm drinking
Red.
dragon fruit Red Bull, which is like the ultimate sour chemical nonsense.
I mean, I love Red Bull. What's up, man? How
You know what
doing?
dude, everything is broken.
Everything sucks.
Everything is broken
Yeah.
all the time, everywhere. It's my
Yeah.
this is the movie I'm gonna make,
Yeah.
where I make a bagel out of,
Yeah.
and I call it a early access video game.
Yeah. Yeah. Love it.
Dude. First of all, I'm just gonna get this straight out of the way. They had a huge update, huge patch for Kerbal Space Program 2.
Oh,
today.
yeah. That's what you were playing when I
Like-
hopped in.
Like 20 pages of patch
Oh,
notes, like
shoot.
insane. And of course, naturally, like I just assume that the things they say they fix in the patch notes are fixed, which for me
Oh,
was
God.
it had to do with docking and undocking.
But it's
So, like,
not fixed.
What ended up happening was I wanted to do an Apollo-esque style mission,
Okay,
right?
yeah.
Where you have multiple stages, multiple rockets, whatever, but by the time you get around the moon, you have a lander and like the main module.
Yeah.
And the plan was to do an EVA, extra vehicular activity, I think is what it stands for. Basically, have the little Kerbal get out of the ship, jetpack his way over into the second module, decouple them, undock, and then land with a lander while the other one stays in orbit, which is what happened in Apollo. Like,
Yeah.
you know, the lucky guys who got to land on the moon, step on the moon, and the one guy sitting in the lander, like,
God dang
you know,
it.
So
Yeah.
and after hours of building and like, you know, it explodes 17 times on the launch pad, and then like I try to do the gravity assist out of the orbit, and that breaks apart. I finally hone the rocket to where it's like good, do all the orbital stuff. I'm fine. It's like boom, it's been like 3 hours and I'm around the moon, go to hit undock, and it just
Blows up.
And then it's like, okay, well, maybe
And you started that multi-hour venture because you were like, sweet, they fixed undocking.
Yeah. Yep. And now it was even worse because it was like I'd go to do the EVA, which normally it just like the little Kerbal is just holding on to the outside of the hatch. And as soon as I did that, the whole thing explodes. And it's like, so, and this was after yesterday. I spent about 4 hours. I uninstalled and reinstalled Tarkov twice. Because basically every 15 minutes or so, the screen would go black.
Yeah.
And I would see like my BIOS.
Oh.
It wasn't even blue screen. It was just
Fade to black.
You're gone. You're gone.
BIOS.
And it would just completely, and then that would ruin my capture card connection. So then I'd have to restart OBS. It's like lose 300 viewers just by hitting stop stream, restart OBS, start stream. 4 seconds of going offline, and it's like the 300 lurkers who were chilling. I don't even know what it is that causes that.
Because it doesn't refresh. The page doesn't refresh automatically. So they see the little like not like this emote, and it cuts. And then you're back online. It doesn't refresh, so they don't count as a viewer. They might sit back down at their computer, notice, and then be done and move on. And it's just like, like 80, like, yeah.
So, I mean, like, I was just dealing with the game constantly crashing. And then I would I tried to launch it after a ton. This was actually the first problem. I couldn't get the game to launch.
Oh.
It would get to the Escape from Tarkov screen where it would like the splash screen.
Yeah.
And then it would go black, like flicker, and then it would come back up, totally frozen. The little loading bar in the lower right would just stop. And I noticed every time that I had the little, hit Alt F3 for the NVIDIA overlay, whatever. And I don't use that. I never really used it. As soon as I disabled that, my game would launch after that. So that was a problem that I'm sure there's somebody listening to this that experienced that issue. So
yeah,
if you're running into the game gets stuck on the splash screen and totally freezes, and the worst part is Alt F4 does nothing, and then when you Control Alt Delete and the task manager comes up, it's uninteractable. You click stuff and nothing happens. So what you have to do is you have to close task manager, and then I would hit Windows Tab, I believe, which it lets you create another desktop. So another virtual desktop. So you click on the desktop 2, Alt Control Delete, Task Manager opens up, and then you can choose Escape from Tarkov and end task from there.
Or Kerbal. Yeah.
So, I'm talking about Tarkov.
Oh, really?
Yeah. No, sorry.
The launching thing was happening with Tarkov?
Yes. Tarkov, I had to uninstall and reinstall. This is all I'm talking about Tarkov now. I had to uninstall, reinstall. It wouldn't launch. Tarkov wouldn't run. And Tarkov was what was killing my PC.
Yeah, okay.
Over and over and over and over again.
What the hell?
So I couldn't even play Tarkov. And then the one raid I got into yesterday, I'm looking for Killa. I spawn in like by the go-karts, right out front of Idea. Go up into that one room in the office with the computers and like where there's GPUs and stuff.
Yep.
And all of a sudden I hear Killa on the back side of that doorway where the shelves are. And I was like, oh, here we go. So I like chuck a grenade. He kind of falls back. I go back around. I get like the whole time I was in there, he was outside in the main area. Through the wall directly at me.
And he doesn't actually use ammo, so he can do that forever.
Is infinite ammo in his magazine. So it was like at one point I basically was like timing it because I'm like, he's got to reload at some point. And so then I go to push, and literally the nanosecond part of my elbow turns the corner. I get hit, blasted, my arm's broken, I'm all blurry. So then he pushes me. And I've got a 308 MDR with M80 and M62. And it's like peak, aim, one bullet, and then he just kabang, and I'm dead.
Yep.
And then the rest of the day, it was 3 hours of crashes, killing my computer, starting over and over and over again. Dude, the game is crazy.
I haven't heard anybody experiencing those issues, but I'll keep an eye out. The NVIDIA Shadowplay thing is a really good look out there to know, because like a lot of people just use NVIDIA Shadowplay, and B, I turn it off. I've never used it either, but like every once in a while, if my computer restarts or does a window update, I'll launch the game and I'll see it and I'll be like, oh shoot, I got to disable that again. So like, like that's crazy. That's a good thing to know. But dude, that's crazy.
I'm only like 6 or 7 quests away, I think, from Kappa.
Yeah. But it's like
it's the most AIDS quests. I got Shooterborn. I've gotten 1 kill on Reserve, 1 kill on Woods. Otherwise, that's the only kills I have. So I got 300 years of Shooterborn. I'm probably just gonna like red flare bait crates.
100%.
I'm gonna try to do. But yeah, killing Killa is effectively impossible.
Dude,
like he's the most broken he's ever been.
It's crazy. And you know what's hilarious is that they tweeted out a few weeks ago that they reduced the reaction speed of all bosses by 30%. Mm-hmm. I had never fought Killa on streets. I was running streets yesterday with Velian, and we heard a RPK, so we were like, let's go check if it's Killa. And he spawns in the Pinewood Hotel. There's like a few different places, but over there. And there's in the hotel, there's like a little convenience store at the front, the Sparja Express. And we rolled up in there, and Velian peeked, killed a scav. Another scav reacts, starts shooting at him. Velian kills that scav. We're like walking around the Sparja Express. Velian loots a PMC body he finds in there and goes, "Killa's here, be careful." As I round one of the aisles and Killa's there. And I start shooting. He ducks and 3-taps me with BS in the chest. And it was the most ridiculous thing because, like, he's hiding behind an aisle. We're in that room, we're shooting. Other AI scavs in the vicinity are reacting to the shots and then reacting appropriately by like moving around. And he's literally just not aggroed. It's like this is the and
I mean, that's what I said when I played with Desmond. I killed Killa accidentally.
Yes. Yeah. And this is the rogue thing all over again because I died to Killa and somebody, and I don't think he did it maliciously. I think it might have even been a joke, but he said, always got to bring flash nades. And this is the rogue thing where the meta right now for boss farming is you throw a flash grenade and they react. You hear their specific taunt, you know it's them, and then you can do something. And it's like the rogues like lean peeking through the little hole. It's like you can't, like, yeah, maybe I should know to do that because I'm whatever, but like we can't allow that to be acceptable. That the game design is so horrible that we need to bring in special equipment or do a special thing specifically to combat the terrible game design and then say that the player is at fault for not doing the special thing that justifies the terrible game design. And I don't think that's what they were saying, but like it was just...
No. People are absolutely...
I don't know if that...
I get that.
But yeah. So
I get that constantly.
It was just like it's just so ridiculous that like the regular in that moment, if we want to go full immersion and lore, the regular AI scav was braver than Killa. You know what I mean? Like Killa's supposed to be the monster that chases you down, that chases you all around interchange. And it's, you know, I start shooting and he puts his little class 6 face shield, you know, he crouches. So now that's what I'm shooting. And then he can just like pop, pop, pop. So it was so ridiculous that we were like sharing a room with him. Like Velian killed the scavs. I looted one of the scavs. He looted a PMC. Killa, silent, waiting in the shadows. And then you can't react faster than him. You know what I mean? You can't like, the only way you kill Killa is you know Killa's there and you can make a move on him. But there is no react. It's just like, I'm dead. And then Velian, who knows Killa's there now, can kill Killa. And it's just like, it's so scuffed. It's so scuffed.
Yeah, dude. And I mean, like, someone in chat said the thing that, you know, you were like, I don't think anyone's saying that. Said, hot take. It's fine that you need special tactics for bosses. Otherwise, it would be just a scav with extra HP. No.
Yeah.
Like, that mindset.
Yeah.
Is
bad.
Is bad. It is, and honestly, like, it's the fact that mindset is so common with so many things is a huge part of the reason why so many of the problems we have in the game still exist today.
Yeah.
Because what you have is a bunch of people like Nikita is sufficiently disconnected from the day-to-day of the game that when he hears someone say, I don't like a thing, and then someone else says, no, the thing is fine, I don't have a problem with the thing, get good, Nikita's like, I'm not going to do anything. Because, you know, it's like a balance.
Yeah, Group
thing.
A hates it, Group B loves it. It's sufficient enough.
On average, it's probably fine, But he does. But, like, the problem is that just like is the case with stamina and with recoil and all that stuff, 90% of the community got so fed up with it and was like, I have no voice. I'm super annoyed with everything. I'm just going to stick to watching streams and not playing the game. And
also, that's giving BSG too much credit. Like,
as if they planned
exactly.
that.
We all agree. And here's the thing, going back, I don't know who said that. We all actually agree that bosses requiring special equipment or tactics is cool. But you're giving BSG too much credit. They didn't design Killa or the bosses specifically so that we would throw grenades to
That's
know
their
if
weakness.
they're there. Exactly. That's not it at all. It's they're so broken, gamers found a way around it. And the proof is that like up until for many years now, up until this patch or last patch, the bosses didn't have unique voice lines. So like 3 patches ago, or 2 patches ago, so after they buffed Killa, remember for a while it was you could stun lock him in the legs, right? After that, when they made him really hard and made him spawn everywhere, but before they gave him a unique voice line, the meta at that point was to just hope Killa killed someone and you heard his RPK. So is the special tactic that some poor schmuck has to sacrifice themselves on the throne of Killa so that I can then kill him? Is that the hot take? That's just the no. It's bad game design. It's broken. It's all the things tuned up way too high. And then we've figured out a singular lane to access victory. And that's not by design. It's not at all a good thing. It's not something to be celebrated. There are absolutely times where that happens, where bosses require certain mechanics or certain things can trigger a boss. Like when the train comes, sometimes Gluhar will go there, so he'll catch you out in rotation or whatever. But like the rogues, the raiders, the bosses, this is not that. There's nothing in the game that tells you these things. All of these things are this super weird psychological, the game, like and the other proof is that like whenever these tactics get too popular, they'll buff the bosses directly in retaliation.
They'll make them so they don't react to
if you want to follow
flash grenades.
Yeah, if you want to follow the thread back, Killa was stupid hard and too hard to kill. And then people figured out that as long as you're applying damage to him, he doesn't move. So then you see how in an instant, he goes from the hardest boss in the game to the easiest because you buy the cheapest gun with the cheapest ammo. And if you leg meta him, he's stun locked. Nothing mechanically changed about Killa, but the gamers found a way to exploit him, right? And their response to that wasn't to make Killa better. It was just to increase his reaction time, increase his aim, increase his accuracy, make him spawn all over the place, and make it so you can't stun lock him. So it's like at no point do the developers give us any reason to believe that these mechanics were like intended on the original storyboard for these bosses, mechanics that the gamers are supposed to learn. There's nothing. I understand that that's what we want. We want the bosses to have unique mechanics that the game tells the player and the player utilizes correctly to get an advantage over the boss. But this isn't it. None of these things, the bosses, the rogues, the raiders, this isn't it. This is bad, and we should call them bad so that they fix them eventually.
Yeah, dude, like, here's the fact of the matter is that all of the things that are good and all of the things that are bad, they're all accidental.
Yeah.
They're all byproducts, and what that is I mean, it's an indication of 2 things. One, issues with the actual implementation of the design, and 2, the fact that there wasn't actually a design.
Yeah.
Like when we talked to Jonathan Blow a few weeks back, right? The idea of how much thought you put into a design of a feature can go from I want a boss, and what you do is you copy paste the scav code and you say HP times 10.
Yeah.
And
accuracy
I've got a boss
times
now.
5. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I've got a boss now, right? Like you could say that's the design.
Yeah.
But that's not design.
No.
With a capital D, right? That like people go to school for and people put on their resume and their job title is like a game designer.
Yeah.
Where, and I mean, I did this in my AI video a year plus ago. I want to say it was like January of last year, February of last year when I did that. It's like an hour-long video on AI and then like an hour and 10-minute interview with Nikita. But I talk about in the video how you could make Killa more fun, more balanced, more challenging in all the unique ways,
Yeah.
while also not necessarily being farmable, while also being beatable.
Yeah.
So, like the example I gave with Killa was, and I built it like you know, like one of those things where you design you're building a character in like an RPG where it's like 3 points into strength, 1 point
Yeah,
into
yeah.
endurance, one you come up with a build. And I had these little bars where it was like out of 5.
Yeah.
And right now Killa is like 5, 5, 5, 4, 5, 5, 5 in all of the things. And it's like, that's just poor,
Yeah.
you know, it's just poor design, right? You look at every other game, even Elden Ring, where like Elden Ring, the Souls games,
Yes.
where that is like the right kind of challenging with good design, where it's like this guy hits like a truck, but his attacks are slow, or his attacks are very quick, but they have a like a wind up, or they telegraph the different things in multiple ways, so that if you are fast enough and you pay attention, you know what they're going to do, so you know which way to roll, you know, like that, right? So my like redesigned Killa was, he's wearing big ass armor, the, you know, class 6 helmet with limited visibility. He should be, and he has a light machine gun. He should be not mobile, and he should be not very accurate, because he can't see and he's wearing heavy. But what you should do is, you know, like at the across from Goshen, all the way on the far end on the balcony, the side where there's like the coffee shop in the corner, you know how there's like the sandbags at the top? Put him there, have his machine gun, like the RPK, mounted on the sandbags. And that's where, like, you know, and maybe make it a circular sandbag thing or whatever. And that can be like one of the things. And what he should do is just rain down bullets. And they're not super accurate. But it's like, if you're able to zoom in and with like a, you know, 308 and go pop, 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 headshot, headshot, headshot before he's able to pepper you with bullets, well, then you earn the kill, right? Or maybe if you get pinned down behind a pillar there, one of your friends can go run around, go up the escalator, and flank him.
Exactly.
But make it so that he is not super aware. He's not super accurate, but it's accuracy by volume. And, you know, there's some predictability to where he's going to be, but like that makes sense. You know, make some of those bars in his design 1 or 2 out of 5, and then have everything else be 5. And with Tagilla, when I came up with a theoretical redesign Tagilla, it was make him like 75% faster on his feet than he is now, because he's got like, it's heavy armor, but it's like light. And half of a mask, right? Remove his gun, but make it so that he runs around silently. So that at any point you have to keep your head on a swivel, because you might just see bonk come, you know, and he should be able to hit you like
2 or 3 times before you die.
It should be at least 3 hits. But when he hits you, I mean, when he hits you right now, dude, it's the most visceral experience. You get like aim punch to where your camera gets removed.
Separates, your camera goes to woods when he hits you with the hammer. You're just like, whoa.
And that would be like, and also make it so that when you hit him in the flesh with bullets, whether it's the stomach or the arms or the legs or whatever, that he's temporarily not stun locked, but slow
like
him
staggers
down.
him or something.
So if you see him running towards you, you can, you know, have the time to maybe empty a 30-round mag into the guy. But now you just couldn't. He'll come, nail you once, barrel stuff you, your entire body's broken, you know, and you're just dead. Or what he's been doing lately for me is run in place
and then teleport.
And do nothing. He just runs in place. And it's like, the last 3 times I've killed him, he just runs in place and sits there.
So, I think like what you said about like Dark Souls and the Soulsborne games and Elden Ring is such a good example, because like those games are of like unanimously considered hardcore. Like they're hard games, but they're learnable
it's the
mechanics.
Dark Souls of, you know,
exactly. This game is the
saying.
Dark Souls of FPS. It's been called that so many times throughout the years. And it's like Dark Souls and Elden Ring wouldn't be fun if every time you hopped into a boss encounter, there was a 65% chance that the actual nanosecond the boss encounter started, it ended. and you died, and there was nothing to do. Like, nobody, like, if that was the final boss of Elden Ring, everybody would have been poo-pooing on that all day, because those games have trained you that what is difficult is not just dying a lot. What is difficult is you challenging your ability to reverse engineer and learn. If you've played, the reason, like, Dark Souls is one of the hardest games of all time, but I'm also seeing people beat it with Dance Dance Revolution pads. Well,
Yeah,
that must
level
be,
one,
it
no
must
hit.
be an easy game, right? Oh, I see a guy that's beaten all 5 Soulsborne, 6, 7 Soulsborne games without getting hit a single time in a row. Those games have to be easy, right? No, it's people that have devoted the time to learning what makes them hard can then execute on it in a way that makes it look easy to you. And that's what we want. It's like, I don't want to just be able to farm Killa. You can make him hard in some of the ways he's hard right now, where you don't know where he's going to be. And this isn't just Kill, this is all the bosses. So a boss that's not very intelligent, but you never know where he's going to be. He might get the drop on you. You might get the drop on him. You have to stay in cover, because if he shoots you, he's going to shoot you in the leg, and then whatever. It's like, you can make it hard in a few different ways. You can make them tanky, but they can't be tanky and see through walls and be infinitely accurate and not make any footsteps and spawn anywhere on the map. And you know what I mean? Because then what you have is what we have is there's a way to do it. Just throw flashbangs and bring an Ash 12, idiot. And then you create this really weird divide where, like, because then, like, imagine the Elden Ring boss where 65% of the time you insta-died. Health went to 0 before the boss did anything. Unless you walked 17 paces to the left, stood on an ice cream cone, pulled your camera straight down, and held J6 F3. Then you wouldn't die. It's that easy, you moron. Why don't you know that? That's obviously not a good place to be, because then you've completely separated everything, where, like, it's super easy for the people that know something super stupid and arbitrary that doesn't help the design at all, and super hard to everyone else. And that's where we're at with a lot of the stuff, where it's like, just get good, kid. Just peek the rogues through this inch-wide thing through the door, idiot. Just bring flashbangs and bring PS12B to kill Killa, idiot. And it's like, this is us fighting each other instead of just calling it bad game design and getting bad game design. Who wouldn't want a better boss fight? You know what I mean? Even if you're the guy that does bring the flashbangs, wouldn't you want a better boss fight? The other thing too is,
no, dude, they don't want a better boss fight, because then they might actually have to use their brains.
Yeah.
And they might actually have to have, like, transferable skills to, like, any other FPS, or, you know, like, think about something at all. But they've got the one thing that works, and they don't want you to change it because they
know it. The other thing too about, like, the bosses is that people are always like, well, then they'd be too easy and you could just farm them. You know, you could just, like, I feel like a lot of times people separate it. Like, what makes Tarkov unique in a lot of these ways is, like, the bosses aren't guaranteed spawns, right? Like, it's not like a WoW boss where, like, you go into the raid, you get to the end, and if the boss fight's easy, it's easy. It's like, the point is you don't know if they're going to be there or not. And a lot of the bosses have multiple spawns. And so, like, it goes back to what we've said before about, like, this is exactly what we said before. If they make the scavs not one-tap you, then my survival rate will go to 100% and the game won't be hard anymore. It's like, you're completely overlooking that you're going to die to a player chasing the shots 50% of the time. It's like, if every time I died to Killa, I killed Killa, I would just survive every interchange raid. It's like, that's really stupid thought process to think about, right? Like, if you kill Killa, someone's probably going to hear you killing Killa and chase you down for that Killa loot, and then you're in a PvP situation and you might die. So it's like, making the bosses defeatable it does not make the game freaking My Little Pony. You know what I mean? Like, it's a crazy thought process. It's like, oh, well, then I would just never die. It's like, dude, I don't think you only die to Killa, bro. Like,
it's not just the bosses, it's every aspect of the game. It's quests, it's the progression, it's just everything, skills. It's like, I hate to say it, but it's like a extremely elementary, like, middle school level intro to game design mindset. I actually I made like a a graph the other day where I had like 2 lines. And one of the lines was, I was trying to explain to somebody that like, well, why has Tarkov gotten to where it is? And they were asking about like, was it developers versus talent versus resources? And for me, what explains a ton of modern games right now is look at the accessibility of being like a game development and coding resources. You go on YouTube and you search for Unity game tutorial and there's 100 billion results and they're all showing you how to, right? But then search for basics of game design and you get like 6 good video essays and then that's it. So what you have is
interesting
is the rate of people getting into making games and building games and the number of people that get into game design. So you've got 1 million mechanics and no engineers.
It's like the difference between knowledge and wisdom. It's like you got a whole bunch of guys with hammers, but you don't have any architects. And it's like, we'll build a house eventually. You know what I mean? And it's like, you're not going to build a good house that way. Yeah.
So you're not going to build like a beautifully architected, a well-engineered. You're just going to end up with a bunch of boxes stacked on each other, and all the boxes look exactly like the other boxes. And it's why every survival shooter zombie game is the same nonsense over and over and over again. And then you play a game like Outer Wilds. And you realize like, the amount of thought that went into any individual feature in that game that was made by a kid based on his college final project. Any one of those features, the amount of thought and design that went into a single one is more than all of Escape from Tarkov. And there's a difference between designing a game and game design. I don't know how, I'm not like, this isn't like a semantic thing. It's at no point has anybody at BSG seemingly ever sat and thought, how do we want players to interact with the systems in our game? What are the things we want them to do? What are the things we don't want them to do? How can we incentivize them to do those things without them even knowing it? Right? Like part of really good game design is when you get people to do the thing that you want, like the intended route, without them realizing it.
Or without directly telling them.
Like one of the things I saw, and I forget the specific details, so I'm sure I'm gonna like butcher it, but I saw someone who did like a video essay on the game design of Elden Ring, and I've only seen very little, but it was basically how like so many players end up, even though you can go anywhere right from the beginning. So many people end up kind of where they're hoping you end up because of the visual, there's a big tree in the distance and you're like, oh, maybe I should start walking towards the giant 8 million foot tree that's glowing. And then all of a sudden, because you start going that way, you encounter this guy. And this guy is not an end game boss right in the middle, so many elements like that. And that's intentional. They think about those things. They pay attention to those elements.
And respect the player enough to give you the option to go the other way if you wanted to, because they have enough trust in their game design that even if you skip the thing, you'll eventually end up here. And it works because it's, for sure. And what's frustrating about Tarkov is that this is actually what I was going to say earlier, and it was interesting, is that at least somebody there tries to do that sometimes, because I remember when the rogue bosses were introduced. You remember when they showed the picture of Big Pipe and it was like, whoa, like this guy is like a proper USEC scav boss. And then they did Bird Eye and then they did Night. And we were like, this is insane. And once again, if you think we are just talking out of our own butts right here, all you have to do is go back to the podcast, the first devcast where they talked about the rogue bosses. Because in that devcast, they talked about like who they were and like where they came from and what tactics they were supposed to use, that they were supposed to lay down suppressing fire, that they were supposed to communicate with each other, that they were supposed to flank, that the two would communicate to Bird Eye and Bird Eye would get to a different position and start fighting at you. What happens is now is you throw a nade or you shoot at one of them, they all taunt, they don't have collision, they go inside of each other and they just push you. It literally like, You can take Veritas and Jesse Kazam out of it. Go find the goons and fight them and splice that against what the actual game designers of the game told us they were going to be like and we're excited about. It's like someone at the office thinks about this stuff, but it's so disconnected from the guys that design it or test it or actually implement it. And then I get called stupid for not doing the shoreline strategy where you shoot one, you run in the room, you close the door because you're abusing the fact that they don't have collision and they're going to phase through the door. You just head tap them when you phase through the door. You idiot. You have 6K hours. How do you not do this? And it's like, this isn't a podcast thing. This isn't a Jesse or Veritas thing. This is if you tell me what I'm about to drink is root beer and it's milk, it's not my fault for not knowing it's milk. You said they were going to do these things. So it's like, it's just crazy that like people just get so weird about it. And it's not even like we didn't set the expectations for the bosses. They did. And they're nothing like the expectations that they set. And so, yeah, I don't know.
And also you go back, remember over a year ago when I said, hey, Nikita, dude, there's something wrong with the AI. And he said, you're absolutely right. We're redesigning. We're like making the AI from the ground up. And I said, okay. In the meantime, they're broken.
Yeah.
Can you just turn them down from 12 to like 4? Just because the game, there's already enough bugs and crashes and cheaters.
Yeah.
And then not to mention the PvP challenges of being, a solo or a duo against a 5-man. Not to mention the fact that sometimes Tarkov is you're walking and you just get one tapped. And like that's the unfortunate, but like you need to accept that, that aspect of the game. Like with all of that in mind, can you not make them so broken that it makes it like unplayable?
Yeah.
And what he said was, we'll wait until we put in the bosses.
Yep. The rogue bosses.
And then we'll revisit it. Now it's been a year. Now also keep in mind when he talked about the Raiders, he admitted, early wipe, we didn't want them to get farmed because they have good ammo. So we overtuned them. And now it's been a year and a half, and we are still with we made a bad design decision, poorly implemented, so then we're going to put, not a Band-Aid, but we're going to put like an acid-covered duct tape over the wound, and then we're going to forget why we put it there, and we're going to keep it there for the rest of time, which is what happened with Found and Raid, which is what happened with run-throughs, which is what happened with post-raid healing, which is what...
And then this wipe, their solution was to just reduce the amount of them that spawn by half.
Yeah.
They just less of them spawn.
Yeah. And I mean, and the best part too is that like they don't want people to farm.
Yeah.
And think about it. They don't want them to farm the bosses, ostensibly because you end up with people running really good ammo and really good gear all the time. Yeah. Well, now people just farm bolts and then they buy that.
Exactly. It would
actually and craft it.
Jesse's hot take is that it would actually, if with like an afternoon with a lunch break's worth of critical thinking on what gear the rogues and the bosses actually have on them, it would actually mean people were less rich if everybody farmed the rogues and the bosses because you can farm.
It's only one per raid.
You can farm far more valuable items, right? Like traditionally, like when you made your video and like right now the meta, if you're like super giga sweat meta, you rarely ever loot armors or helmets or guns off of people because the ruble per slot take the attachments and then take the rollers and then take the bolts and then take the moonshines. It's like leave the Gen 4 because like you said, you can just buy the Gen 4. It would actually slow the economy down if more of the population were farming gear because it takes up more room in the inventory. And when you get out with less ruble value, so they could like make those a little bit easier to farm, but then make the like high value loot on those maps spawn a little less. And then people would have gear they could use. And that's the thing is that like, why does it matter? Why does it matter if people have a stash full of guns? Why does it matter if people have a stash full of broken armors and guns that need repair with non-meta attachments when the alternative is a stash full of items you can sell on the flea market to print infinite money?
Yeah. And you can only take in one armor and one gun at a time. Why does it matter if I've got 100?
Yeah.
or if I've got 1,000, or if I've got 4.
And this would dramatically make the game better for, more specifically, the casual players who would have access to like get like that. It's like it's
no, not even casual, not even casual. I'm not a casual player.
Oh yeah,
it would make it infinitely better. It would make it
everyone.
better for the vast majority of the player base.
Yeah. Because it's like, once again, what we're talking about here is like M4s with non-meta suppressors, non-meta sights, and non-meta ammo. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't understand why like Nikita's so scared of people farming non-meta attachments when right now Streets is unbelievably broken for loot, and then you can just go buy the meta things. You know what I mean? Like,
and what Uneventful just said too is they're still farmed. They're just only exploitable.
Exactly.
So every raid, Killa's gonna die to the Giga Chad throwing, like spamming flashbangs.
Yeah.
The only difference is that Killa's gonna kill 17 normal players.
Yeah. Before
in the meantime,
that dude kills him. Yeah.
So once again, at no point do they ever, and by they I mean the developers, but I mean also most people in the community, ever take a step back and think about the state of affairs that we're in.
Yeah.
And the reasoning behind any of these things, right? People say, oh, well, then if you make them easy, they'd be farmable. At no point did they ever consider that they're still farmable now.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like if they made it extra farmable, well, now every raid, there's going to be 9 Killa kills. There's only 1.
Exactly.
If every raid has 9 normal players and the 1 level 65 Kappa enjoyer that's running around,
that's a good point.
You're not increasing the amount of farming.
That's a good point. What you're doing is maybe Johnny level 33 has a chance to actually kill Killa when interacting with him, and then he gets that loot and not the level 65 Giga Chad.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
And then look at Diablo 2, one of my favorite games of all time, one of the best games of all time. The entire game and games like that are built around, I'm going to do a chaos run and kill Mephisto and kill Diablo, and I'm going to do the Countess for the rune drops and the chance of that's replayability. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Right? Because the 1 in 300 chance that Killa has the red key card in his pocket.
Exactly. Yeah.
That actually adds replayability if you can farm.
And the fact that they don't spawn 100% of the time keeps raids dynamic, because you might spawn in, you might check if he's there. If he's not there, you might go on your loot run if he is there. That's why I've loved that Killa can spawn anywhere on the map. It makes the quest annoying as hell. But outside of the quest, if Killa was balanced, I would love that. Because then it's like, if you make him killable, then people say, well, he's farmable. Well, he's harder to farm if he doesn't spawn every raid and you don't know where he is. So that actually makes it relatively dynamic. But when you get caught off guard by him, you might actually win that fight. And then once again, like, if I ran into Gluhar on Streets right now, which he can spawn at Lexos, and we wiped him, there's almost no shot I'm taking much of that loot. I might fraud my armor for a Gazelle, and I might grab Gluhar's M1A, but everything else on the guards is less valuable than just crossing the street to the Check 15 building and looting it.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So once again, it's like, who actually cares if that loot is attainable, is not even free, but just attainable? Like, you're still going to die. I still want to die to Killa. Just like I would never expect to start a Dark Souls game and expect to never die. I want to be able to die to Killa and do what I do when I'm in PvP. Stop on my stream for 30 minutes. You're going to see me do something stupid, die to a player, immediately play the clip back and go, man, I shouldn't have done that. Like, another thing people don't ever think about is human error. Is you could have just peeked too wide on Killa. Well, now you're dead. You could have just missed your shots on Killa. Now you're dead. You die to Killa before you have the opportunity to make a mistake. So what we're saying is we don't want Killa. I don't want to always kill Killa. I want to die to Killa. but I want to be able to die to kill it and go, I shouldn't have done this. I shouldn't have over peaked. I shouldn't have re-peaked the same angle. I should have hit my shots. I was all over the place. But right now it's, I existed. And that was what I did wrong. I played interchange is what I did wrong to die to Killa. You know what I mean? It's like, you can't just like, I don't subscribe to the whole, like, you got to check your corners. Like, no, there are too many corners. Nobody checks every goddamn corner as they go around. You know what I mean? For the whole game, you wouldn't have time to make it through interchange, right? Like,
and you can't 98% of the corners, you can't check a corner without turning your back to 17 corners.
Exactly.
Because this isn't Counter-Strike.
Exactly.
It's an IKEA.
Exactly. Yes, that's such a good point. That's such a good point. So like, yeah, it's
dude, you said earlier how Nikita was talking about how he wants the goons to suppressing fire and to flank. How effective is your suppressing fire and your flanking when you see them and die instantly?
Yeah.
There's no strategy. There's no experience.
Yeah.
It's you hear one particular voice line, you go, oh, and then you're back in your stash. That is not gameplay, and it's not hardcore if you figure out a way around it. You're not a god gamer.
Or you get the dice roll where they all stand there and do nothing, or like they all turn their back to you and run, and you can just like crouch and mow them all down. And then you get that and you're like, I don't understand why people think the bosses are so hard. And that's like so terrible because it just like divides the community. You know what I mean? When the design of them is what's so poor. It's like, I've killed the goons. I've killed Killa plenty of times. But that doesn't...
I killed Killa by accident, and I killed Bird Eye, and I thought it was like a Timmy Usek.
Yeah.
Like the one time I saw the goons.
Yeah.
I see a guy running out of Crack House into the little shack in front of Crack House.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh. And he runs in, kneels by the couch, and starts healing.
Yeah.
And I just go, and I kill him.
Yeah.
And then I run in and start looting him, and I'm like, oh, this is a boss.
Yeah.
I literally thought it was a player. Because there's so many like voices for the USEC now, I don't recognize. I just thought it was another voice taunting line, and then all of a sudden, 5 of them rush me and I'm dead.
Yeah,
and it's like,
and they have no collision, and so like I've had it where I've killed one and the other 2 swing the corner on me together, and you're firing on them, and because they're inside of each other, every other bullet is hitting one or the other. And they have so much HP, and they're shooting at you, and you're like, what?
And they're not affected by the bullets either.
Yeah.
They don't have
aim punch.
That's the other
camera
that's
recoil.
the other thing
like
with Killa, where having him be stun locked is obviously broken.
Yeah.
At the same time, having it so that every time, like, my gut is like, okay, I can maybe throw a grenade. Honestly, this is the only thing that I can think of as someone who doesn't watch streams. And I don't like, I'm not like, what's the meta for whatever?
Yeah.
I know that people throw flashbangs to locate him. But like, the only thing I can think of is like maybe right-handing a grenade near him so that he turns and runs. And while he's running away, you beam him. Otherwise, I can't think about it. Because if I see him, if he's running and I have M80, which is like, it's a good enough round that if I get the jump on somebody and I can aim, and I full auto you should die.
Yeah.
And when he's running and I peek out and I go, ba 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 ba, that he stops and goes, kaboom, kaboom, and you're dead.
Yep.
Because he's not affected by aim punch. He's not. There's no accuracy debuff when he's shot. They are simply unaffected.
Yep. They can see you through bushes. They can oftentimes lock onto you through walls. And they have infinite bullets. I mean, it's like literally everything about it is inexcusable. You can like, I did that before where I like a glue heart guard was locked onto me through a wall, and we counted the magazines, and I got to 11 full 30 round magazines and reloads, and I heard him go for the reload, so I pushed, and then I searched his body. He had a gun in his mag and 3 magazines, and all 3 were full, and the one in his gun was half full. And I was like, I knew it, but I was like, here, chat, like this proves like.
So you can't even be smart because normally, dude, my biggest brain plays are wait for the perfect time. You know, if someone's shooting, and you hear ba 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 ba, there's a threshold where I'm like, he's got a 60 rounder, and then I wait the ba 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 stop, and it's like
push.
Now push. Now I use that on the flip side. I use that to my advantage. If I peek somebody and I don't see them, but I might just like pre-fire a doorway.
Yeah.
I'll go stop, take a step back, and then I know if it's like a you know, a Chad, this is when they push. So then I do the whole double, nope, I am pushing again because I still have 15 bullets, and then I kill people.
Yep.
Or you wait for the reload, or, you know, like there's so many moments. Yesterday I killed a dude who was like nade spamming the fuck out of me. Oh, I was in 301 and he was throwing them down the hallway, and I'm just like, there's nowhere to go, right?
Yep.
Like you can't jump off the 3-story balcony. And it got to the point where the guy was getting closer and closer, and then finally I like closed the door, and he opened the door, and I took a step back, and I hear click, and I just run right up to where I'm right in his face, and I'm voiping, "You idiot," while I'm going, I spray him down.
Yeah.
And it's like, I used my situational awareness to make the right call. If you do that against the bosses, you are punished because the rules don't apply to them. If I count the bullets and I'm like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 30, 40, 50, 6, oh, he's out of ammo, and I go to push him, he's shooting again.
Yeah. And that works both ways. Me and Trey were fighting a guy in Check 15 in that room. I don't know how familiar you are with Streets, but it's like a $4 million key. It's a really, really good room. And it's a one-way in, one-way out situation. And we had like 5-headed it where like I was holding the door from one angle downstairs though, because like that whole building's like a maze. And basically we had 5-headed it where like Trey got to move up and close the door and close him in. So I was able to actually maneuver the maze of the building and come up. So now we were in a long fight with him. There's like a second door to Check 15 that has like a dresser and some wood, but you can see through it. So like I was trying to shoot at him. He was trying to shoot at me. Trey opened the door and backed up. And that guy went and took a step back. And I was like, whoa, I ran in there and I saw him step behind cover. And then he just immediately stepped back. I was in full sprint and he annihilated me. I slammed my head on the desk and I said, what a good play. What a good play. I immediately was able to die and recognize that guy outplayed me. He knew I was pushing the reload. He went behind cover and caught me in a sprint. I've never done that with like the bosses. And of course, I don't think the bosses would be able to act like humans, but it's one of the point I'm trying to make is that like, even when I make when I make mistakes, I can say this is a good fight.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Because I can say I made the mistake. He baited me. He jebaited me. You know what I mean? And so there's no situational awareness. There's no strategy. It's just like hope that you get the derpy version of the bosses or exploit some stupid game mechanic or just like get really lucky, you know, where he's killing your friend while you shoot at him and your friend has to sit in the lobby and wait for you. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. It's like, it's brutal. But
dude, I'm honestly like I hate to say it, but like I'm in real extra sad mode because I feel like so many of the most vocal, I think it's the minority, but the problem is it's seems like a majority just based on how you know, fervently they argue these things and how confidently they all say the same thing, so it seems like it's coherent. Dude, I just don't know, man. Like whenever in the recent history I've brought these things up to anybody I talk to at BSG, it's either, oh, don't worry, we've got things coming. It's never like tell me more about what you think. You know, like it's just, oh, don't worry, we're on this, or we're gonna fix it, or it's the reason why a lot of people have been saying, all right, it's time to get Nikita on the podcast again. And like, here's just my totally honest take. Not that I wouldn't want to have that talk with Nikita again, but the kinds of conversation that I would want to have, I just don't think is possible.
Yeah.
Like,
not right now, maybe.
No, just at all. And let me explain why. Because after this, I know later on we're going to be talking about the whole Sacriel Shroud making a game thing.
Mhm.
But I want to just quickly mention something about that to provide. It's hard for me to explain why I don't think anything would come from a conversation with Nikita. I can't describe it, but what I can describe is the opposite.
Yeah.
Sacriel is really smart, super attention to detail. He has an eye for game design. And he's also someone who gives a about discourse, about like logic, about understanding and hearing people. I remember when I did that whole zeroing thing years and years and years ago, where it was me on a podcast with like 12 streamers, and basically like 11 of them, and Nikita, all got me wrong. And Sacriel was DMing me on Twitter while it was going on, being like, dude, I don't know what the everybody's problem is, but I'm with you and I'm sorry. Like, so if I had if there was some lack of communication or some disconnect, I know I could sit down with Sacriel and I could be like, okay, well, let me explain. You know, let's clear it up, like we did a couple weeks ago when we were talking about the Lightkeeper thing. And I'm like, I don't understand. I was like, no, let's
figure it out. What's the disconnect?
And if you take the time to try to explain it, you ultimately come to an understanding. And see, the problem is that every time I ever talk with anybody at BSG, including Nikita, what ends up happening is I start to say, here's the reason why the AI is bad. Or one of the conversations I did have with Nikita shortly before all of those great, fantastic changes were made, was effectively, here's the difference between like a good recoil and bad recoil. And it was the whole idea around, in real life, you can feel the gun.
Yeah.
You can control it because you have that tactile, there's points of contact with your body, and you're responding to what you see and what you feel.
Yeah.
And in video games, when you have randomness, you have the realistic random-esque nature of recoil, the chaos of recoil, but you don't have this massive thing, which is your ability to feel it and adjust accordingly.
Yep.
So you need to account for that by either making it so that there's a pattern, or making it so that it's consistent in a direction, or make like, you know, certain things. And I got like 3% of the way towards that. And he's like, okay, we're going to fix it. We're going to fix recoil. And it's like, but dude, I know. And he made it better by turning it down and by reducing the camera, and like kudos, right? But it's not the same as making it right.
Yeah.
Making it, and there's not only one way to make it good. There's a million ways they could make it good, because there are a million games that have weapon handling that feels good.
Yeah, and they're all different.
Yeah. So
and you weren't even trying to lead him to a specific thing. You were trying to lead him
want to do that.
to the ethos of what makes good recoil, and then you guys decide how you'd like to implement it. Yeah.
Yep. And that's the problem. And that's the problem is that the conversations end up going, don't worry, we're working on it, we got it.
Yeah.
And then what they do is they change a couple of number values. And what we have now is recoil where the first 3 bullets are ba ba ba, and then everything after that is fairly steady, except the occasional like which is, it's awkward. It's not realistic at all. It's the least realistic recoil of basically every first-person shooter out there. And it's also random, and not all of the guns feel bad, right? But that's the problem. And it's like, let me explain to you why it's bad. It's not that that the dial is too much.
Yeah.
You know, but those conversations can never happen. And I think a lot of it comes from the fact that, like, I don't think people have the patience to have those conversations.
Yeah.
And they misunderstand my trying to clarify as being pedantic or trying to be difficult. It's like the number of people that say, you say that because people don't agree, they don't understand. And I say, no. I say, they misunderstand, so they disagree.
Yeah.
Now let me, because I can tell when people say you just want the game to be easier, and actually what I'm advocating for is better and harder.
Yeah.
I know if they understood what I was saying, they would recognize it wasn't easier.
Yeah.
That it's not making it more casual. It's not making it more arcadey.
Exactly.
But I can tell they're not listening.
There's a difference between disagreeing and telling me that I'm advocating for the opposite thing that I'm advocating for. That means you don't understand, right? Like, you know what I mean? If I said, I think recoil should be blue, and you say, I disagree, I can go, I respect that. And you say, you're so dumb for thinking recoil should be purple. And it's like, you don't understand. It's like, oh, you think I'm stupid? I don't understand. No, you actually just informed me black and white you don't understand. You literally just told me a falsehood after I explained something you clearly don't understand. Would you like me to help you understand? No, I can't believe you're being so freaking like mean and you're talking down to me. No, you say it again. Say it again. Yeah, I don't understand why you want it to be purple. You don't understand what I'm saying.
But if you tell someone they don't understand, you're being condescending and you're an asshole and all that stuff. It's like, no,
exactly.
I just want to be able to communicate. I would love for somebody who disagrees with me to actually disagree with my position and not a straw man. But like I said, I just don't think that, it's gotten to the point now with all of the times that I've been like, Nikita, let me clarify. No, he just rolls his eyes because he's annoyed because he thinks I'm just being annoying and I want to be a stickler. And it's like, dude, I don't know what to tell you, man. Like,
I'm never
so that's why these conversations they're impossible.
Because I'm never going to say I'm right. The only thing I know for a fact I'm right about is what I think about something. So like, if you say, I don't think you're right, I can say you might be right about that. But when you say, I know your opinion, when you don't, that's when I'm willing to like, and that's when it's like, I don't care if it sounds like I'm being a jerk, or you might interpret that as me sounding like I think I'm right. But it's like, what we're arguing here isn't actually what's better for the game. What we're arguing ends up just being what my opinion is. And I don't understand how you can think you understand my opinion more than me. My opinion very well could be wrong, but stop telling me what my opinion is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we saw with the goat thing, we saw that rationale reach its logical conclusion, which is I didn't have an opinion and was still
they knew what it was.
Still assigned one by them just so they could argue it. And it's like, okay. So, see, like, do you see how this plays out? Like, this isn't me. This isn't me being pedantic. This isn't my ego. This isn't me thinking I'm always right. You can see it. Like, there was nothing to disagree with, and yet I disagree. You know what I mean? And it was like, okay, I guess.
You know how for like a long time, there was a period where like Nikita basically said, we want people to focus on like semi-auto controlled firing.
Yeah. We
don't want people full auto spraying 60 round mags. I mean, that's why they added the malfunction chance and all that other stuff, right? And the whole idea of a far more realistic actual combat approach is, like short controlled bursts or semi-auto fire. Very unless you're suppressing fire with a mounted machine gun. During Normandy, there are very few times where full auto is the normal thing, right? So it's like, okay, I'm not trying to tell you how to make your game. I'm gonna say, okay, let's assume that's what we want. Now let's look at the game. Why is it that the first 3 bullets are the most inaccurate, and then everything after that gets more accurate? All you're doing is making it so, all right, I'm about to peek. Mouse 1, bang, 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 peek, and then now I can, like, the end result is the opposite of what you want. I'm not telling you what you should do. I'm not telling you what your game should be. I'm telling you, you want this. Yeah. And you have this.
I heard you say you wanted some bread and some meat. I said, let's go to a sandwich shop. And you said, no. I want to go to the store. I want to buy some bread. I want to go slaughter a pig. I want to get the ham. It's like, what do you, wait, you were the one, you said you wanted these 2 things right here. These 2 things right here. It's like, no. Let's do the hard way. And it's like, I don't understand.
But that's what I did for my video.
And that's,
what I said, you want the raid series. Well, look at the game is nothing like that, and it punishes every other kind of style of gameplay. So.
And it's the same. And it's the same thing with the bosses. You said you wanted the bosses to be this way, and they're not this way. I'm not presuming I know game design better than you do. I'm presuming to understand that it's not what you literally said you wanted it to be. So
I'm presuming you're not lying to me about what you want.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know.
Anyway, that's enough of the rant on that. But
I will.
That's the reason why I don't think like.
Yeah.
Anything is going to really come from these conversations.
Yeah. I understand. I totally get it. On the complete flip side of literally the first 9 minutes of the podcast, I have the past 2 days of Tarkov were the most fun I've had the whole way. And it's because I'm just playing exclusively streets. It's so much damn fun, dude. Like all of the problems of the game exist still, right? Like I died of desync, I died of shenanigans, you know what I mean? I died to kill that ridiculous way on streets. But it's
and you're also squatting, presumably?
Yeah, duo.
A huge part of that has to be the duoing, right?
For sure.
Like,
100%.
You're having fun with homies as opposed to.
Oh well, I'm always having fun with homies, even when I'm doing stupid tasks on Shoreline or on Interchange. But like, it's like
I wonder if you would enjoy it though if you were solo. Is what I'm saying.
I would
as much.
I'm saying I would enjoy Streets solo more than I would enjoy any other map solo. You know what I mean? What I'm saying is that like Streets is like aloe vera on the rug burn that was getting Kappa. You know what I mean? Playing all the quests I've done, playing all the maps I've done, playing everything. It's such a good map. It facilitates such good PvP. It's got such good loot. And it's just like, it's so much fun, dude. It's so much fun. It's the fun that you and I have talked many times that won't last, right? And I understand that. Like, it's not like a new map isn't going to fix everything forever. Like, you know what I mean? Like one day I'll view Streets like I viewed Customs, right? Like, I just have played it too much. And I don't care. In the short term, in the temporary, it's been like an oasis of fun in the game.
So why do you think that is though? Is it the loot? Is it the combat? Is it the novelty?
It's everything. It's the novelty that the map is so new and fresh and different. It's the fact that the map actually is the evolution of their game design. And I'm like you, where I'm a sound whore and a repositioner. And what I like to do is end the fight before it's begun. You know what I mean? Rather than just like aim duel, because I'm gonna lose that. The amount of alleyways, the amount of windows to jump in, the amount of random buildings down the street you walk up to, you can open the door, you can run upstairs, and you can get an angle down into another window of a building. And if I know you're in there, like there's so much to learn, and the gameplay facilitates the gameplay style that I like. And because we're in this place where nobody really knows it like they know Customs yet, even fights against Chads feel a little bit more level, because like they don't know the perfect pixel peak angle or flank, and we're doing it together, and we will flank and we'll catch each other in a flank and then have a fight. You know what I mean? The amount of players on the map. It's just like, it's super fun. So it's all those things. It's that it facilitates really fun PvP in the way that I like to PvP. It's got insane loot that you don't need keys for. Like if you don't have any keys, I've got like 2 keys that I use regularly. But there's so much loot, even if you don't want to spend millions and millions and millions of rubles on keys. Also, I've been thinking, you've heard me advocate many times that I hate like player scavs spawning in at like 2.5 seconds into the raid. And like that I hated that like Reserve was plagued by player scavs. You could never accomplish anything because there were player scavs. Lighthouse, you could never accomplish anything because there were player scavs. I don't feel that way on Streets. I don't want them spawning in the first 2 minutes. Like I hate that. But like there's something like somehow because of the way the map flows the like horde mode of scavs is so much fun fending off.
I think I have an idea why.
I kind of have an idea why too. I was just going to say it's because like on Lighthouse, you have like the rogues you're contesting with as well, which are just like, it's like infinite little killers, and any mistake you make, a player scav's going to shoot you in the back. You know what I mean? Whereas like I have this whole wide open playground that I presumably know really well because I've been playing the map, and I can kind of like hear these guys coming. There isn't a killer, there isn't a D2, there isn't the rogues. It's just the map. It's just like me versus the player scavs. And that's it. And there's always a way out. Whereas like if you spawned Southern Road and you're in the water treatment plant, like your way out is Northern. And so like as long as they know that and they cut you off, whereas on streets, you can go any direction at any time and know how to get to your extract.
That's what I was going to say, is that there are a few places that I think are kind of notorious in my head, at least, for being like dead ends. But but there's that drop down area in the vicinity of the check key in that same sort of building, where like you need to breach the door. That's the only way you can like get out, is breaching the door. Which like if you don't, one of the brown doors, the big brown doors, which if you don't know, you're just like trapped. Yeah. But like for the most part, most of the time, if you hear footsteps, you turn around and there's an exit, a hallway, and the hallway has 3 doors. But then think about it. You're pinned on dorms. You've got one hallway that goes out to a balcony where you can jump down, but you break your legs, and then even then they just peek out and they see you out in the open. Most of the maps indoors, there's not a lot of places you can go, right? If you're in East Wing or West Wing and you're in a room and someone's holding the hallway, well, what are you going to do? You can't rappel out of the window. Yeah. You know? So I feel like that the map being so big, but also being so complex. Yes. It makes it so that you can reposition and flank around and run, and even like run, heal, and listen and wait. Are they coming towards me? Are they not? Like you have options.
It does what we say, where like when you die, you're like, I feel like I died because I didn't know what to do. Let me figure out what to do. And then the next time you might live because you like it makes you like, when you die, it makes you want to learn streets better. And then you learn streets better and you get the direct result and reward of then being able to outsmart. And it like, it feels like a good loop. You know what I mean? Yep. Yeah, I completely agree. So we had, I was playing with Valiant, and Valiant got one tapped by a player scav. And the second he got one tapped by a player scav, it felt like 4 different scav armies all started running at Lexos at the same time. As soon as I heard so many player scavs, I immediately made the decision, screw Valiant's loot, I'm out of here. Like, I didn't even attempt to loot him. There were too many people, and I ran, and they started chasing me. It was like, which is what I do when we on scav armies, you know what I mean? It's like chasing down. So they were VoIPing at me, they were chasing me, and literally it was like freaking John Wick, dude, where every time I would enter into a new place, I'd turn around and I'd pick the first one off running in the door, and then I'd reposition, and they would just, the mob was chasing me, and I was picking them off one by one by one by one. I held the single.
They're probably having a blast.
100%, dude. They're having a blast. I get back, I start healing. And I see one run, and I flip up my gun, boom. I run up and loot it, and he had Valiant's M1A, TV rig, everything. I was like, oh, he brought me Valiant's loot. I grab it all, dude. I'm in fights where I'm shooting at a player scav, run out of ammo. I switch to Valiant's M1A. I point fire one 15 meters away. I'm running. I throw a nade at my feet to distract, and I get out via the car. And I was like, that was so much fun. That was the closest thing to like emergent gameplay, where like normally the flow of a map is like spawn, get to the nearest high value loot area, PvP there most likely, run to extract. It's very linear.
Loot the 2 dead guys.
Yeah, it's very linear, and that felt like that felt new. It felt like they were chasing me down. I was running it, like the direction I was running wasn't determined by where my extract was. I was just running for my life and they were chasing me. Like, it just like, it was so different and it was so cool. And I felt like I actually won that fight because I had been playing Streets and because I knew Streets, and I got out and I didn't even have and that's, dude, that is, now that I'm processing it, it was exactly that. I enjoyed it because it was emergent gameplay, because it was different. I didn't get out with anyone's loot except for Velian. I didn't make a bunch of money. I didn't loot, but it was like one of my favorite raids ever because it was unique, because it was different.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And it was like, so Streets has been fun in that aspect. Like, I totally understand. Like, the one thing you just can never really knock them for is like map design. Like, it's so good. Now they'll ruin their own map design with either lighting or extracts or spawns or whatever. But like, they really knocked Streets out of the park. It's so much fun to play. It's so much fun to learn. And you can, like, if it's not very busy, you can mindlessly like make a ton of money if you want to. Like, there's loose loot all over the place. That's like really, really good. And there's tons of scavs, and you can make money off scavs. You can search their pockets and find Digi keychains or like moonshines and stuff. Dude, so like, that has been my reprieve, is just like, I'm done with Kappa and I'm just playing Streets, unless like I'm doing, and my buddy is trying to do a quest. I'm totally fine with that. But like, if not, we're playing Streets, dude, and it's so much fun. I know it's temporary. You know what I mean? Like, I know it is. But
how much do you think, okay, do you think that Streets has a lower player per square foot ratio
probably
than every other map?
Yeah, probably.
I mean, isn't it like, how much bigger is it than Shoreline?
It's not much bigger. We actually, so like I've worked with Tower.
It's gonna be much bigger, right?
I worked with Tower, and I actually was expecting it to be bigger than it was. I truly was. However, if you took every floor of every building and flattened it, I think it's the biggest map. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, I think there are more places for a PMC to be, even if the square kilometers isn't bigger.
Just a square footage like a house is what I mean. Like, square footage, like, so yeah, multiple floors.
So I do. I do. So, but it has the reliable way of getting into PvP if you want, where like, go check 15, go marked room. Yeah, go check 15, go to marked room, or go Skybridge, and you'll find PvP, or run to gunfire. So like, if you want PvP, you can do that. But like, if you don't want PvP, if you're trying to quest, you don't avoid those areas, and you might find a squad roaming around. But yeah, I would say like square footage. Yeah, because there's not a whole lot of PMCs. We thought there were going to be like 30, right? There's like 18, 18 to 20, and the amount of places there are to be. And
there's got to be,
unfortunate thing is that the spawns are actual dog nuts. So most Streets raids, it's already a big map. Immediately 5 players die. You know what I mean? Off the spawn. So it's like, then the map feels a little emptier, so.
And then, I mean, you think about Shoreline, like, it's got a huge footprint, but like, almost all of it is dead zone where nobody goes.
Exactly.
Whereas Streets is like,
similar to Woods. There's not a whole lot of places. There's like the village, the fob, and the lumber mill. Those are the places to loot. So it's like, yeah, there's a lot of square footage, but there's not a lot of places to go.
Yeah, but Streets is just full. Like, the whole thing, there's every
filing
inch of
cabinets
it is
everywhere, safes on the floor, dead scavs.
So I wonder how much of the way it feels to you, and it being good, that kind of coincides with the thing that I thought we talked about, I don't know, maybe a year or more ago, and something I've been thinking more about since I've been playing earlier in the morning. My, like, slow raids, quote unquote dead raids, are the best raids. Because what ends up happening is you kill a duo, because there's that fewer people around. That gives you time to be able to heal, to be able to loot, finish what you were doing, and then move on to the next like point of interest, right? Whereas if there was 50 people on customs, the game would feel like complete and utter dog shit. Because half the people would die on the spawn.
Yeah.
And then it would be everybody gets in a fight here, everybody's killing each other until there's one person who wins.
Yeah.
And then the same thing happens over here. And then like one of them gets one tapped by Scav Boss. And then it's like you have one happy person and a bunch of dead people. And it's just like, it wasn't fun. Part of the, I think, in my opinion, at least, enjoyment of Tarkov is elements of the solitary, especially when you're questing. Because it's like, I've got to do, unless it's find, PvP, which is why those quests can be kind of sometimes. But yeah, so all of this is to say that lately I've just been kind of like, I feel like they should reduce the number of PMCs in Raid by like 30%. If Customs has 12, maybe it should be 9 or whatever.
I totally get that.
It would get closer to the way that I think maybe Streets feels, and also every raid would be much closer to the way that like an early morning raid is. Early morning, I mean like literally early morning, like while people are at school or whatever.
For sure. I mean, that's a huge part of it too, is I've been playing Streets yesterday and today. I was playing Streets all day, morning streams both times, right? Like I've been playing a lot of Streets nighttime too, but it's like, there's definitely like, so I get that like some people might just disagree with that, and that's okay. Like I totally get that like there's a portion of the population, even casual players, people that play more casually, that like just want to play the game for the PvP. And I totally get that. I wouldn't say you're wrong. But I definitely, in my personal enjoyment of the game, lean towards that as well, where it's like not just the solitary, but also like the dynamic of like get into a fight over here, or like, I'm not just getting into a fight in the same spot down the same hallway with the same pixel peak each time. And that's at least partially. And I don't know if that's because people are questing, people don't know. Like that's a thing that I've been getting into on Streets, is like the amount of times I've been shot and Velian goes window up top. And I go, I didn't know you could get up there. And then we kill the guy through the window and we go in the building. I go, I've never been in this building. We go upstairs. I go, I've done all the quests and I've never been upstairs here. And he's upstairs here. And I'm like, we killed a 4-man in a building. I have Kappa. I've done all the Kappa quests. I have played Streets probably a few hundred hours. We killed a 4-man in a building I had never even been in until we killed the 4-man in there. And that feels great. And maybe they were in there because they didn't know where to go. But at least in the short term, I'm going to appreciate they were in there. Yeah. And that's where I wish they distributed the loot a little differently. Like I like there being like PvP hotspots. I like there being a place where there is a lot of loot. But if they took like 10% of that and put a few like moonshines and roller and clock and maybe a Ledex spawn in like these really random places, well, then you would have like some people would be like, that's too far out of the way for my farming route. I'm just going to go. So then you might get it as like a low level and be like, oh shoot. Or then you might have people, fights in just awkward places because you're like, well, let me check for the Ledex. The raid, somebody else said that too. And then you get into this cool fight. So like, yeah, I definitely see where you're coming from with that. And it'll be interesting to see because my fear is, and it's not even a fear, it's really a no. I know that will min-max. It was the same thing with labs, right? Some of my fondest memories playing Escape from Tarkov was the wipe labs was introduced because we didn't have the meta angles. We didn't have the meta movement or we were all figuring it out, and it was free and it was so much damn fun. And that's where I'm living on Streets right now. I know eventually we'll min-max all the angles and figure everything out and min-max the loot, and nobody will go in these buildings, just like nobody goes into some of the buildings on reserve and stuff like that really ever. I know that that'll happen eventually, but in the meantime, it's fun as hell. And that's really the magic they need to figure out how to capture and continue. You know what I mean? With like maybe loot spawning in more dynamic places or events where stuff happens, like, because we always reduce, you know what I mean? Like Customs is a great example of that. It's a really great map, but it's like you spawn, it's either dorms first or fortress first, and then it's either dorms or fortress, and then it's extract. It's just like boom, 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 boom. It's just reduced to this very linear thing. And
the problem with that is I know people are already commenting, and I know folks have mentioned this in chat where they're like, "Oh, well, some people like PvP."
Yeah, that's
Me
fine.
saying I want less people in raid, I know that the temptation is to instantly say less people, less PvP, and that's wrong. Nobody is fighting all 11 players on customs. What makes a good raid is if you kill 3 or 4 dudes, loot them, and then get out and reset.
Yeah.
So having less players in raid doesn't mean less PvP. I like, it's not like even the Giga Chads, they go and kill a 4-man squad, and then they go run to other gunfights across the map. It's like, no, they loot their kills.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I love PvP, you love PvP. There is an element, though, to the fact that you get in a fight, and then there's the having time to heal, get your together, reload some mags. The things that, like, what's magazine reloading? If you never reload mags, it doesn't matter, right? If you die before you ever reload the mags, or there's no downtime to even reload mags, in my opinion, part of what makes Tarkov PvP and survival and RPG elements and everything, what makes it so great is you have this hectic thing, and then you're like, whew, while the smoke settles, while you're healing, then you get to loot, and then you're like, all right, now let me get out. Instead, it's you get swamped, and if you're lucky enough to survive, you're going to get swamped by another duo, and then if you're lucky enough to survive, you're going to get swamped by a trio, and then if you're lucky enough to survive, you get swamped by the player scavs.
Yeah. Tension is not knowing what's about to happen. But right now, it's like you start a raid and it goes to 100, and it just stays at 100 until you leave the raid, pretty much. You know what I mean? So, and reducing the amount of players would reduce the amount of instant spawn deaths, which isn't real PvP. You know what I mean? It's not like it's It's like, you know what I mean? It's just look down there, wait for the schmuck to peek the window, and then boom, he's dead. And it's like, you know, I don't know if that's the high level PvP we're talking about. The other side of this coin is that, like, I wish, and I don't, let me preface this by saying I don't have a solution for this, right? I'm not coming and saying, like, this isn't a critique of BSG. It's so simple. Why don't they just do this? But, like, I wish there was more to do in the raid, in the universe, than farm valuable item for ruble or PvP. Like, outside of the quests. Because, like, no matter whether you're a casual or a Chad, my experience is that most of the people that I interact with end up stop doing the quests. A lot of people might stop at level 15. They might stop at level 20. But the quests aren't a thing that, like, bring you back to Tarkov for the entirety of the 6-month wipe. Like, a lot of people get, you know, to level 20, 30, and get to a bunch of quests they hate, and they stop questing. So, like, I wish
people want the thick item case and the 35,000 XP.
Yeah.
They don't want to do the thing.
I wish there were more things to do, because that would create more options. If you want PvP exclusively, that's okay. Like, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying, do you understand that not everyone in the universe thinks like you, right? Like, that's why I like games like Rust and DayZ. I like watching them because somebody might say, I need to go farm. Like, I need to go farm wood and stone to upgrade my base, so I'm not going to bring out a nutty kit. And then they might say, well, I'm going to go roam and I'm going to go PvP, or I'm going to go look for this very specific item, and I do need defenses because I need to go get this item, and then I need to bring it back to my base so I can do a thing. And so, like, I don't know how that works in Tarkov. Like, you know, there's no base building, there's no, you know, whatever. Because we exit the world, but I just feel like I wish there was more to do in the world, and that could be like events or whatever. I don't know, but like you get into a raid, and it's like you're either there to quest, you're there to PvP, or you're there to just like completely avoid PvP and ruble. You know what I mean? And it's like,
let's take an idea from DMZ. First of all, the first thing that came to mind, let's just get this out of the way, is loot exfils. I know it's you said PvP and looting, but like that's something to do where it's like there's 6 bodies here. I killed a scav boss and a 4-man. Let me grab all the go across the map, drop it off at the boat with the fire, send it on its way, give him 15,000 rubles cash, and then that comes to my stash in a day, and then I go back and grab the and then I go to the exfil. That already changes.
And what's great
so
about
much
that
of the
is
flow.
surely that brings more of both. Because when you run and go do the thing and come back, surely there's going to be player scavs on those bodies or other PMCs, right? So it's like that one thing actually,
and the timing is so dynamic,
actually makes there to be more ruble potential and more PvP potential in the same raid without having to exit the raid, heal yourself, get to the stash, and then match make, wait for players, So like, yeah, for sure.
And right now you have like squads and you have solo players, and people are constantly like, well, it's a team game, so you know, how can some people say, well, how can we like nerf teams? And I don't want to nerf teams.
Yeah.
What I want to do is make it so that solo players aren't cucked as much.
Yeah.
And making loot spawns, what that does is it brings up the squads by 5 points. And it brings up solo players by 65 points,
yes,
right? Like
true,
there's no downside.
True.
If a 4-man squad kills 7 people, they all are going to take more gear out than they would have without it, right? But if I kill a 4-man squad, I get to now take 4 man's worth of gear out, not 1 or 2 maximum.
Yeah.
So it's literally just good for everybody.
And it's not a guarantee that you would get all that loot out, because you might die going back to go for it, but it means you're in raid longer and you're probably less frustrated when, well, at least I secured that. I went back, I went for the greed and I died, but I got something, right? So it's like, yeah.
But so back to the original idea, take a page out of DMZ's book. Imagine you're over by Old Gas and you hear ring, ring, ring.
Bro.
Ring, ring, ring. Walk over to the payphone and hello, comrade. It's Prepor.
In raid quests.
I just heard about some scav named such and such a thing, and it could like literally now think about the design that like literally the first thing that came to mind is just one example. And here's where, if I was a game designer, I would get out the pad and paper and start just frantically jotting down notes. Imagine if you pick up that phone and it instantly spawns a bot at dorms.
Yeah.
And that bot at dorms has a special quest roller in his pocket. And it was like, kill this guy Ivan over at the thing and take the thing. Like, that's just the first thing that comes to mind. Or maybe it's, hey, I heard there's a golden SMG that some guy left in dorm room number 312, and it just spawned it in the bag. Or it was, hey, let's say there's like 7 minutes left in a raid, and ring, 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 you get a call from Peacekeeper saying, hey, I just found out the 3 scavs that my wife the other day, they're over by construction. I want you to go cut their goddamn heads off. You know?
Dude, no,
Poor Peacekeeper getting cucked.
You just blew my entire existence away. That's 100%.
Daily quests, it makes them instantly better than daily quests.
Yeah, and you can do them in rate. Like, there could be rewards that are XP. And here's what's crazy. You wouldn't have to make the rewards insane. You wouldn't have to make them so broken. Because once again, people want to be in the goddamn raids. They don't want to be in the menus. And so with loot exfils and something like that, you would have people in the raids. And you could, like, you and me in one episode of the podcast could come up with like 100 different ideas for that. So it's not like there would just be 3 things, you know what I mean? Even things that, like, there should be things that might not be possible. It would be crazy to get one and it's like kill 5 players. And you don't have to do it, but what if you were like, I'm going to try. Now you're like running around like a chicken with your head cut off trying to kill a bunch of players. You know, you're going aggro for PvP when maybe you didn't before. Or it was simple as like, find this. Find me an SKS. It's like, once again, I've done those Twitch Rivals tournaments where it's like, where's the mustache? You're like running around trying to kill scavs. And that would put players in different places than just the high tier loot spawns. In that case, you wouldn't necessarily have to reduce the amount of players because the players would be doing so many different things. You're not just going to find all 11 players. I love that because, like, once again, give the player too many enticing options. and make them feel the decision of their option. They might get a quest and then hear stuff popping off at check 15 and go, I'm going to go check 15. And then they go check 15. The fight already happened. The guy's left and they go, damn it, I should have done the quest. And then they go back. You know what I mean? Like, give the player weight behind the decision of what they want to do in the raid. Bro, that would be...
Open up a Jaeger stash. There's a letter there.
Insane.
And the letter is, you know, and the coolest part of this idea that just popped into my head is it could make the quests. Now, this is one of those things that Jonathan Blow would do in his game.
Yeah.
You know, but I don't think many people, like many games would do this, but like this is the genius way of doing it. It's make it so that the things are either based upon the current raid now. It could say, if it knows you're at the old gas, it could say, hey, there's 2 PMCs in dorms right now. Go kill them. Right? It could tell you items that have already spawned, or it could spawn the items as a result of you. Like, there's so many things.
We've talked at length about how, like, the golden Zibbo, this is already in the game. They're client-side items. If I unlock the door and I have the golden Zibbo quest and you don't see the golden Zibbo. Like, it's a client-side item. Giving the game the authority to spawn those client-side items, you know what I mean? Saying there's a flash drive in the Pinewood Hotel that I need you to get for me. And it could be in a bunch of different places, you know what I mean? But it's there. And so, like, there's replayability to the missions because it's not in the same spot every time. And if you die with it, it doesn't really matter. It's not like somebody's gonna loot a duffel bag, find it and take it, and you're running around looking for it. Like, it would be...
Dude, and think about that kind of thing. Again, this is how you think about... I'm not a game designer. I'm the most amateur. I watched a few video essays and I pay attention to these things, right?
Yeah.
But, like, think about the game design avenues that this opens up.
Yeah.
The game... If they want PvP, or if they want you to go fight the scav boss, or if they want you to do whatever... These quests could happen in a way that motivates that. Maybe the logic could be, is the scav boss in the raid? Well, make it so that there's an 85% chance that the focus of this quest, that it's going to be dynamically generated, is, hey, I need something. Hey, I need you to go pick something up in 2-story dorms. Can you go do that? Knowing that Killa's there.
Yeah.
I mean, or Rashala's there, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's just so many elements that you can do. You want to keep people in raid? Cool. Tell them they need to go. There's going to be an airdrop at 0700 hours. Here's the coordinates. I've marked it on your map, you know, or whatever. And it's like, oh, now maybe someone else also got the phone call.
Yeah.
Maybe you've got the radio signal jammer that makes it so that if you take it into a raid, you can eavesdrop on the phone calls. And now someone else can know what your quest is. And Nick, right? Like, these
game design avenues are insane. And it benefits everybody because it keeps people in raid longer. It keeps people engaging in different parts of the map. It doesn't take away from any specific thing. It doesn't mean that if you want to just grind dorms PvP that you can't do that. You absolutely can. You might just the word we use all the time is dynamic, and keeping things dynamic. And bro, it would be so good. It would be so... That is insane. Like, you would have to adjust them because the raid timers and the map sizes. But the thing is like, they don't have to be...
a raid 2 hours long.
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah, you could make... Yeah, if you added the ability to exfil loot and you added these quests, you could make the raid timers longer, but not too long, because you have to kind of comes a certain length where you need other people spawning in, or else... You know, no one's going to be in a customs match at the 1 hour, 38 minute mark.
Unless there's a lot of good reasons for it to happen and they keep bringing in player scavs. I mean, that's like...
Yeah, true.
That's as close as you can get to open world.
Or single player, you know what I mean? Like, willing to stay to the end means the likelihood of you running into players is a lot less. But, like, you could adjust them. And the thing is like, once again, the rewards don't have to be OP. And it's not like it's not like a daily quest where you're gonna get pissed if you got a bad one. The thing is like you're running raids, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you got either a quest you didn't want to do or a quest that wasn't worth it or a quest that you tried to do but didn't do it. They have so little bearing on your entire character's progress, but it does give you something to do when you're in the raid. It's an opportunity for bonus XP. It's an opportunity to push you around and learn the maps. It's an opportunity for PvP or PvE to be happening in different parts of the map. But it's not like you have to make them crazy overpowered. Like, you know what I mean? At all. Yo, that is
But also,
such
thinking about it, right? Like, you keep saying it, they don't have to be overpowered, because I think you'd be worried that people would be like, they're too good, and then they'd have to, like, you're already like 3 steps ahead where they would make them OP. That's all people would do,
Yeah.
and then people would complain and say that you were farming it, and then Nikita would be like, all right, I'm taking it out of the game or whatever. But here's the thing, like, the mindset that they don't have to be OP, like, I agree, but at the same time, if the reward is 85 XP and a bottle, a can of Tushonka, well,
it
then
has to be worth it. Yeah,
like, you want to be excited for the thing you're gonna do and for the reward.
Yeah.
You know. So imagine if it was OP. Imagine if it was, we'll give you 250,000 rubles and a fleer for going and killing Rashala in this one thing.
Yeah,
dude. The fact of the matter is that all these little Timmies that have a 0.001 KD have 27 million rubles in this game.
Yeah.
And I'm broke, and I'm going around killing squads and whatever. It's like, the problem is not, like, why do we have to make it so that nobody, people say we have to do all these things to prevent people from farming and getting rich.
Yeah.
Except all anybody does is farm and get rich.
Farm and get rich, yeah.
Except when you just want to play normally and then you get cucked, and
yeah, that's true.
It's just so silly. You can print money by not playing the game, so why make it?
Why make it bad to print money while playing the game?
Would Nikita rather you take an hour to press 3 buttons to buy a couple of components, to then craft them, to press some buttons, and then sell it on the flea market and make 150,000 rubles? Or would Nikita rather people spend an hour running around looting and killing people?
Yeah. Yep.
If the outcome is 150,000 rubles added to the economy,
and
it's just nonsense.
And with like XP, you can kind of make them OP. Like you're saying, you kind of can make the rewards OP with XP, because that benefits everybody. Like, Rengar's level 69 right now. Like, those guys are gonna get to that level no matter what, right? But like little Timmy that doesn't, or guy that's played through 5 wipes that doesn't feel like doing setup again and dressing like a scav and shooting people with a shotgun, but they really want to get to level 42 to get max traders. Like, XP kind of is meaningless. Like, you know what I mean? So what if the dailies were like, or like, what if the in-game things were like 20,000 XP? You know what I mean? Like the really good level 46 dailies. Like, it's not like that prints money or gear or anything. It just like progresses your character. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Now you can make infinite money, and as soon as you get to a certain level, earn insane XP.
Yeah.
Like, I had one that was like turn in like 3 Cordura and like 2 whatever, and it was 37,000 XP, 2 tank batteries, and 87,000 rubles, and like 159.95. And it was like, click, click, click. Wow, I'm a great player. I'm suddenly done the quest that I've been spending. Dude, I've been playing for 945 raids this wipe, never found a tank battery, except the one time I got dicked on by a player scav. And I just clicked my way to earn 2 of them.
Yep.
While also getting all this other stuff. The fact of the matter is that it's easy to make money in this game doing unfun, annoying things that most people think. Some people enjoy it, and I'm glad you enjoy it. I won't take away your toys.
Yeah.
The problem is that anytime anybody says anything good, people say, no, you can't do that because we don't want people farming money. So instead, they just farm money in an annoying way.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Oh my god,
Bro,
dude! I hate even when I get like
in-raid quests is such a good idea. It is such a damn good idea. Man.
never TM.
Never TM. But like,
This is where we're here, like, oh yeah, it's planned,
yeah,
and then
bro, that's such a good idea. Yeah. Sag. But yeah, that all kind of came from like Streets, and just like Streets has been really, 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 really fun to play. Their performance has been a lot better for me. I know a lot of people still struggle. Hopefully they'll continue to optimize it. We know Streets is going to eventually get a lot bigger than what it is right now, which is more exciting. So we'll see. I threw this on the list just because it's funny. Like, dude, like I have tried to like never exaggerate, or what's the opposite of exaggerate? I guess it would just exaggerate the opposite direction. I've never tried to exaggerate for pro or against how many cheaters I've experienced or how many cheaters are in the game. Every time I've talked about cheaters,
understate,
downplay, yeah, downplay. I've never tried to downplay or exaggerate, because I've tried to understand that I'm only one example, right? Like one person is a drop in the bucket. My perspective as a guy with 6,000 hours in this game is worthless taken on its own, right? If I ran into cheaters every single raid, I could be stream sniped and you could run into none, right? So like I've always tried to like maintain a level. I don't run into blatant cheaters like at all, like almost ever. But I always caveat that with, that doesn't mean there are no cheaters in this game. You know what I mean? It's just like I've never really struggled with it. And in the past like week, I have come across the most like blatant cheaters and like in my career, like more than all of Last Wipe combined in the last week. Like, it's weird. Like, I don't know. It could just be anecdotal. I could have just been gotten unlucky or whatever. But like yesterday, or Tuesday, I was playing with Airwing and we had some dude, just run up to me and he was just like, "Yo, pizza man, why'd your friend try to shoot me?" And it was like, oh, okay. You know what I mean? Like, we hadn't killed anybody yet.
Is there any way that they were stream sniping you?
I mean, there's a chance they were stream sniping me, but they were also cheating. Like the way he killed me. It was like the dude I told you on Woods that like jumped. Like there is a chance he was stream sniping me, but they were also definitely cheating. Yeah. And so we had the thing on Woods, we had the thing on Streets. I've had a few other things recently. We had me and Valiant had one where like he had the SAG 545 semi-auto AK. We both died. I died 3 seconds after he died, and we both got hit like 4 times only headshot. It was like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And I was like, brother, you know what I mean? Like, there's a universe where you hit those, but like, do you hit those really? You know what I mean?
Interesting.
So like it's just been interesting. Once again, anecdotal. I'm not saying it's worse or better. I'm not even saying, once again, my personal experience is not enough for even, because a lot of people are like, oh, well, maybe it's because they took all the RMT, you know, off the flea because you can't do barters, and then the GOAT video. So now it just must be everybody's just rage hacking now. And I'm like, oh, maybe for sure. Like maybe there are people, as an uptick of people who are rage hacking because, but also maybe I just got unlucky this week, you know what I mean? And ran into 4 when I normally run into 0. But it's just been interesting.
Yeah, a couple people have said a few things like that they've seen a big uptick. I've been playing more in the morning. So there's just less people in general. Like my first 2 raids of the day, I went and just like made like 1 million rubles on Shoreline and came across like 1 PMC that I just like one tapped. So
yeah,
I've had a couple of encounters that were like questionable, but plenty of like plausible deniability.
For sure.
Like one of them was on Shoreline, and I was like in one of the rooms, and I just hear like, and I had just killed like Scav Boss maybe like 5 minutes before and was like healing and whatever.
Yeah.
And you just hear the squad just, you know, and you just hear them 2 floors above me, just running by, jumping over things, running through barbed wire, whatever, and then all of a sudden, the 5th guy comes, and I'm like holding the angle, and he just runs around the corner and almost like pre-fire, not even pre-fire, but like so much of it is subtle things that are hard to describe that I think a lot of people don't think about. A ton of people in chat were like, dude, that was just desync. Nothing sus about that. And I'm like, you don't understand. There was nothing about the desync. There was nothing about the fight that was weird to me. What was weird is I made no noise. A 4-man squad ran by. So that everybody who plays in a squad knows they all feel comfortable and invincible at that point, right?
Yeah.
The straggler coming last is not going to be like, ready to go. But what was weird is when you hear running, you're like, all right, I'm going to pick off the 5th guy, and then I'm going to like start the reposition, try to pick him off one by one, and I'm holding, and he stops right at the wall.
Yep.
And then runs out, kind of looking in the direction, and then just bang, bang, 1 tap, 2 taps me, even though I had the jump on him. And it's like, maybe I jump scared him. Maybe he's heard me reload or shuffle or breathing. And maybe, for all I know, he was like, did you guys hear that?
Yeah.
I think there's someone in this room, right? But you don't get that context. Maybe
exactly.
The other one was maybe because I had my laser on the wall facing me, ready to peek out. Maybe his teammates down the hall were like, hey, is that your blue laser? And he's like, no. And then the guy was like, oh, and then turned the corner expecting, there are explanations, but there's just a lot of like, oh, I was going to play that perfectly. I had this whole plan in mind. And then the guy just like, gets lucky.
Yeah. And so, it's not just the desync in those situations. Dude, I had one. It was such a roller coaster of emotions. Me and Airwing were fighting a guy, and I thought I was behind cover. I get 1 tapped to the eye. I had a like everything, and it was 556 FMJ. Okay? And so, and then, I looked at the guy's name. He was, level 35 or something like that. It was FMJ. And we were chasing that gunfire. We heard a suppressed 556 gun by the convoy, which I don't know if you know on streets, is where all of the scavs spawn. It's like there's the tank and the truck you can get in the back of. All the scavs spawn there. We were pushing it. We were, running up to, because we heard suppressed shots. We thought it was way farther down. I just go, bleh. And I'm like, what the hell? And I was like, it was FMJ. And then Aaron gets into a fight with them. Crazy desync, but in a similar way, it's like, I kind of think it was like a cheater that killed me, but then we also got desync. It was like, it was desync, but it still felt like something was wrong there. So we were like, that's pretty sus, but plausible. We don't know. Let's report and move on. The guy comes into chat later and goes, hey, I'm not cheating. I got pinged in a Discord and somebody was like, hey, whatever. And I was like, do you have a clip? I was like, I would love to see that from your perspective. And he was like, no, I don't. And I was like, that's fine. And then as a tangent, by the way, chat immediately went to doesn't even have a clip. And I was like,
yeah, that's super sus.
I was like, it is not. I was like, once again, do not, I was like, don't fall into this trap. Don't start blaming other people for the cheating problem. Don't start blaming the people that don't record their gameplay for how bad the Tarkov is. You're letting BSG off the hook there. You know what I mean? The expectation shouldn't be that all human beings record their gameplay. So I was like, no. So this is what I said to him. I said, honestly, if I'm being honest with you, this game is so messed up right now. If you tell me you weren't not cheating, I believe you. I'll chalk it up to that. At this point, it wasn't, it was the game is so messed up. And he was like, let me send you screenshots. And then in my head, I was like, well, if you didn't have a recording, how do you have screenshots? So then he sent me a screenshot, a Discord DM, a screenshot of his post-raid screen. There he had my name, me and Airwing, he had killed. He'd killed 6 PMCs, only headshots, no scavs. And I was like,
great, you're not helping your
I was like, you had me. And now I think you're sus again, bro. You were on the part of the map with the most scavs. You only hit headshots. You killed 6 PMCs. You were using FMJ. So it was such a weird roller coaster of emotions where like I was like super frustrated I died to a cheater, and then I was like sticking up for him in chat, and then he like made himself seem super sus, and I was like, dude, I don't even know anymore. Let's just freaking move on. It was so weird, bro.
Dude, this whole cheating, and this goes back to like what I said a year ago, where I was like, I just want to like how I said I wanted to do the goat video thing,
Yeah.
right? I'm like, I wish I could, because I recognize the like crazy dichotomy of like recognize there are explanations for all these things and so many outliers, but at the same time, like I can't help that my instincts
For sure.
make me think or feel one thing. Like on Shoreline today, I spawned. It wasn't like the far back spawn behind resort, like the historically good one.
Yeah.
It was actually one that I think is even better. That's like, you know, the rocks in the corner.
Yeah, and you can run like
on
directly.
and you're like facing the wrong way.
Yeah.
Whereas if you turn right, like the rocks in the corner of the resort on East Wing is
Yeah.
like right there.
I know exactly
I
what you're
got
talking
that
about.
spawn, and I'm like, oh, okay, cool. So I'm sprinting towards the rocks, and I hear something to my left. I'm like, what the? Like nobody's ever
Yeah.
here right now.
Yeah.
And then I hear some more rustling again. I do a double take, and then I see someone. I'm like, oh, and I start shooting, and then they just end up owning me. And their name was like I kill cheaters, and it was headshot 45 Hydra Shock.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, like I've never been killed with Hydra Shock to a face shot
At 30
while
meters.
I'm wearing a U-latch.
18 seconds into a shoreline range. Yeah.
Yeah, in this place to a guy named I Kill Cheaters. I'm like,
Yeah.
if his name was like John Smith 97, it wouldn't have been weird, right? But it's like
Yeah.
all of these things together. And you know, of course, you also have to recognize, like, if I see a dude with an Alton and I die to 995 or SSAP, I'm like, no one's running that on average. He's a cheater. And then if I see a naked guy and I die to FMJ, I'm like, he's a cheater. So unless you're wearing a rat rig with 856A1, you know, it's
Yep.
all sus. And that's just part of the nature of how the game is and how frustrating
Yeah,
and unknowable everything is.
Yeah.
It's, you know, I think we all just, like, people need to mold about cheaters and about other things, and we all kind of just need to be like, yeah, man, that sucks.
Yeah, 100%.
And just like not challenge people.
That's where I'm at with
Even
everything.
though that's my whole thing, where I spent like 20 minutes today. Someone was like, dude, Flechette. I got sniped from like 100 meters away, like a one tap with Flechette. But like the situation felt totally normal. And
Yeah.
a bunch of people were like, what the dude, how is that possible? I'm like, Flechette's OP. And then one guy had basically said how broken in a like not working, like how bad Flechette is.
Mm.
And I was like, show me the clips. And he ended up having, he was a streamer, and he had like 3 clips of him mostly hitting like the elbows with a third of the Flechette bullets, using like the revolver shotgun, which just already like covers most of the screen and all this other stuff. And I'm just like, I don't know, dude, like it's not Flechette's fault. It's either the gun or like desync or
Flechette is
you know,
nice.
Flechette is OP if anything.
Yeah.
But like, there's some part of me that just feels like we should all nod our head and smile, and then some part of me that's like the problem is that the part of me that says we should challenge everybody so that we can all get like a better understanding of reality and come closer to the truth. I do feel that, and then at the same time, it's like sometimes, I mean, everybody knows me. Sometimes you just want to mold, and have people go, yeah, dude, that sucks, and just nod your head. And anybody who's ever had a wife that's had a bad day, you know, this is totally like the sexist cliche, but it's like they don't want solutions. I'm always like, okay, babe, let me help you. Like, you have this issue with your boss. Like, how I would talk to them, and for the most part, they just want to vent. And for you to go, wow, that sucks. I understand how you feel. Just shut the f
That
up.
is exactly, that's why I've been trying to be better at that too, where it's just like, Twitch chat is often not a medium where I can convince anyone of anything anyway. And what I often want is like we say it all the time, where I'm like, just give me a minute to mold and I'll move on. And the stream will continue, but like, just give me a minute. And I often don't consider that, where I'm like, that guy came in and he said, I just tried to cheater 7 raids in a row. This raid sucks. And all I can see is like the statistical likelihood of you dying 7 raids in a row. And it's like, he might just be molding. He might have exaggerated, and he might just be molding. And maybe that's okay. You know what I mean? Like, maybe I can give him that. You know what I mean? Maybe I can give him that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I feel you. But apart from that, with what's going on streets, nothing. There's no real news. There's no real news happening in Tarkov. We don't have any new AMAs. We don't have any new info on Arena or anything. We're just like hoping that this April patch comes soon.
Yeah. April Fools.
And that's it. That's Tarkov. Unless you have anything else.
Imagine if Tarkov was made by Shroud and Sacriel.
Whoa, dude. I've been thinking about this. It's like, so obviously, I'm on the fence. Like, obviously, a part of my brain that's so frustrated with the gaming industry is immediately like, this is going to be a game that says it's going to change the world, and it'll go to alpha in 6 years, and it'll stay in alpha for 17 years, and I don't care. And then a part of me thinks the exact same thing you were saying earlier, where I was like, so for people that don't know, Shroud and Sacriel announced that they're working with, what's the company? They've like
Splash Damage.
Yeah. They've made like
I don't know anything about
Gears.
Them, but
they've made Gears of War 4. They were in charge of like the Halo Master Chief collection. They made a game I played a lot way back in the day called Brink. They've like worked on games. So they're partnering, Shroud and Sacriel are partnering with them to make an open world survival game. And so part of me is like, this is dumb. It's never going to come out. You know, it's all hype because I'm been burned, right? I'm cynical. I've been burned. But then part of me is like, what I've been saying forever is like, I wish that I could I wish DayZ and Rust and Tarkov could have a baby and make this beautiful game. And then,
because you have the perspective of, you are so sick of X. So someone who like Shroud and Sacriel are sick of the.
Yeah.
It's the same thing why we got excited for Dr. Disrespect's game. And then we found out there's NFTs involved. And then the whole thing looks like a dumpster fire.
But I'm like, wow, hold on. These guys love Tarkov and DayZ, and Shroud's perspective on gunplay and handling and stuff like that is insane. And I thought the same thing. I haven't interacted personally with Sacriel too much, but like every time I'm in his channel, he is dissecting the game he's playing, and I've never seen him with an L. I've never seen him
communicating it perfectly.
I've never seen him breaking down like, oh, see, this is interesting because the game didn't really tell me to do that. And what if they had done something like this? I'm always like, yeah. Or he's like explaining why a mechanic in a game is really good, and I'm like, yeah. So
dude, my first time in his stream, he pulled up the code, the part of the documentation, and a bunch of screenshots about the glasses in Tarkov, how they are.
Oh yeah.
And he's like, me and my buddy who's like a Unity guy, this is exactly the problem, and the guy like reproduced it in Unity, the same exact like shader, whatever texture, whatever the thing was, and I just remember being like, okay, you know, like
yeah. So like, Shroud knows gunplay, and Sacriel kind of has a really good perspective from the perspective of a gamer on game design, and they both love all of the games that I wish somebody would make and have a baby with. And then they announce they're making an open world survival shooter, and Shroud is talking about how important the gunplay is to him, and Sacriel, I'm like, so part of me is like, but part of me is like, this is our shot, boys. Like, you know what I mean? Like, this might be as close as we ever get to the opportunity. So, yeah, and they're both huge into MMOs as well, which like there's a lot of aspects that Tarkov kind of wants to take from that, but doesn't really implement well. Like, I don't know, man. Like,
if it was just Shroud, I would still be like, okay, I want to see what it is, you know, because like he is like, if you want to design a race car, having, you know, Mario Andretti on your design team, he might not be like the best car engineer, right? But he's like, put me in the driver's seat. I'm going to drive it. He's going to drive it and say, this isn't right.
Yeah. And that'll be really valuable experience.
And that's hugely valuable. I think the fact that Sacriel is involved, the output of Sacriel and Shroud, if you put them in a box and you shove ideas in, the stuff you're going to get out is better than
I agree with that.
just Sacriel or just Shroud. Because I think Shroud is obviously like a god gamer, and he has a lot of really good takes on Tarkov. I think a lot of things he gets a little bit wrong about certain aspects where, but I think that Sacriel sitting down with him and being like, well, maybe if you thought about, he'd be like, yeah, you know what, you're totally right. Like having them together to be able to talk. Totally. This is one of those things. What my chat ended up turning into was half of the people were saying, I can't believe all these people are so goddamn hyped over this thing. Like it's going to be this. First of all, I never saw anybody who were hyped that said it's going to be the greatest. Everybody was mauling about the theoretical, hypothetical straw man on this side of the spectrum. And the other people were like, this is just going to be some another gamer, whatever thing that's going to come out in 17 years. And it's like, we have no information. Other than these two guys, whether you like them or not.
So many layers to that. It's like, it's exactly that. It's like, I haven't seen anybody that's like tweeted out, this will be the game that saves humanity. But the haters are like, that guy's probably out there, so I'm going to mauld about him. And since that guy's not really out there, you have everybody mauling about guys that don't really exist, when fundamentally what they're mauling about is what they're doing, which is formulating a complete opinion about a game they know nothing about. They've just, like, it's still cherry picking if you pick all the bad tasting cherries. You know what I mean? Like, if you just decide that it's going to be bad because, I don't know, I want it to be bad, and so I'm going to say it's bad, then you're doing the same thing as the guy who goes, this is going to be good just because it's going to be good. And you hate that guy. So stop being that guy. I don't know if it's going to be an amazing game or a terrible game. I'll be interested in the project, excited about its potential, and check it out when it gets here. But like,
well, like when I heard, I'm excited to see what it's going to be. I DM'd Sacriel and I was like, yo, I would, let me know if you ever need like a random playtester or, whatever. And he like instantly responded back. Sacriel's such a dude. He's such a genuine dude. I met Shroud once way back in the day, like right after I got partnered, and like shook his hand. And this is before anybody knew my name. But Sacriel is and Sequisha or two guys that like I just mega look up to in terms of content creators, and in real life they're just super cool, down to earth, genuine dudes that are exactly like they are on their streams. They're both really smart, they have really good takes. Tons of respect for those guys. So I don't want to say like optimistic. But we have no information. I look forward to seeing what they have to show us in the coming years.
It's one of those things I hate how much we have to qualify it. It's like, I'm excited. I'm not afraid to say that. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm not preaching the gospel of Shroudy Christ and his game.
You're selling tickets to the fucking show already.
You know what I mean? It's like, I'm excited. And if they botch it on the way, and if they show gameplay footage that sucks, I'm going to say it sucks. But I hate that I have to qualify, you know what I mean? Oh, well, it's like, cool, dude. It's exciting. I'm glad they're making it. They're cool people.
It's because
making a game in the genre I love. What's the problem? Like, that's what's crazy is that, like, how many times have you heard Tarkov needs competition? Because then that's really going to put Nikita in gear. And then any competition comes along and it's like, ha, copying, this game's going to suck. They're going to ruin it. It's like, oh my God, bro. We should get Sacriel on the cast. Not necessarily talk about the game, but just talk about like game design and games and Tarkov and stuff like that. Like,
to talk about all the things. Actually,
I feel like,
isn't Sacriel on our list too? That I
think he was on our list. Yeah.
Yeah, dude, I'll ping him. I'm sure he'd be happy to come on. Maybe we'll see if we can get him on sometime in the next few weeks.
Yeah, but yeah. So ultimately, I was like, ultimately, it definitely. I watched the little video and hearing them talking about it, I was like, man, like, these are the guys I'd want involved. You know what I mean? If I'm thinking about who I'd want to make a game like this, you know what I mean? These guys played a lot of Tarkov and a lot of other games that I haven't played. You know what I mean? Like, so, yeah.
I'm tired.
Yeah.
Playing this game, talking about this game has been exhausting, dude. It's just the same. It's the same that we've had for 5 years, except the intensity and the frequency of everything has just ramped up and up and up and up and up, and now everybody's screaming at each other. So that's the energy of every conversation is, I'm so sick of X, you know, and
yep. I feel you. It's been harder. So like my response has just been, to like disengage more and more. It's like, it's just like everybody, I'm just like, yep, cool, GG's.
Maybe Diablo 4 that comes out tomorrow, the early access.
The beta comes out tomorrow, right? Yeah, okay.
I'm sure
that sweet copium.
I'm sure that this early access game is going to be good and not a big disappointment. I tried to play Rocksmith Plus again yesterday. There's like, I typed in like 17 artists. It was like Clapton, Rush, Boston. I'm like, John Mayer. Nothing, dude. Almost all the songs are like have no guitar in them.
Yeah, and
that's like Rocksmith, and it's so bad.
Yep.
KSP2, the big patch. It's still early, but me, have I not waited 5 years for? And it's a big giant cluster fire.
Yeah.
Tarkov is the train that it has gone off the rails, off of the the bridge with like the hole in the bridge into the canyon, into a lava pit, onto an asteroid about to hit Earth, into a black hole. You know, like, and then dude,
I do know.
I feel that. Oh my God. And then all of this in the context of, in the last month and a half, I played 2 games that are the best games I've ever played. Honestly, the more I reflect on it, I'm genuinely considering wanting to replace Ocarina of Time with Outer Wilds as the greatest game of all time.
Wow.
I'm actually like, it's a candidate. I'm not sure if I've made up my mind yet, but
the fact that it's even being considered,
I want so badly to make a video essay about how amazing the game is. The problem is, if you've played it, you already know. If you haven't played it, I don't want you to watch my video. I want you to play it. The entirety of the game. Now I understand in many ways why I haven't seen anything about the game. It's because like it's designed in that way. The less you know about it, the better.
Yeah.
And I want, like, you need to play the game. Go buy it. Oh no, my stream went down.
Yep.
Well, rip. At least we have the local recording.
We have the local recording. There's definitely a market for that, by the way. I know we need to close it because your chat's going crazy, but like,
chat
for people,
they can watch the VOD.
I'm that guy that like, I know I'll never watch this movie or I know I'll never play this game, so I'll watch a YouTube video about it.
That's kind of why I want to make it.
I'm
and
that
also,
guy.
and also because one of the aspects,
Oh, we're back.
yeah, one of the aspects of the game. This is a phrase that I'm sure probably is like common elsewhere, but I only heard it the first time used in the context of Outer Wilds. And chat's yelling at no audio. I don't care. It's so distracting.
Yeah.
So in the context of what was I talking about? It's so distracting when
Like
700 people are spamming no audio, no audio, no audio, no audio.
A term that you've only heard it used in the context of Outer Wilds.
Right. It and it's something that every single person who's played the game has said this multiple times, and I've only ever heard it in this context. I want nothing more to erase my memory.
Oh yeah.
To go back and play the game for the first time again.
Yeah.
So making a video like this is like you get to watch it and relive it.
Yeah.
Dude, I want to invest $1 million to have Netflix make it into a series. Like it needs to be done, dude. The story, I hear the main theme, dude, and I get tears in my eyes every time.
I mean, dude, that's a good point. What you're saying though, like a good point to make the video, because like if you have played it, but you probably want to pseudo experience it with somebody else. Like, like you're watching the video and some people are watching the video or experiencing it for the first time. So you're almost like getting the nostalgia of like, man, I remember. Yeah, dude, I would say do it. Because I would be the guy that would watch it for sure. For sure.
Maybe I will. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. But before a black hole forms in Veritas' chat, we should probably just end it here. But yeah, nothing crazy, but I love just like riffing on how terrible Tarkov is and how excited we are for other projects. So we'll see what happens in the next week or so. But yeah, this will be live normal time Monday. Thank you guys for hanging, and we will definitely see you on the next one.
Peace.